this week on the Potluck. A letter to Mr. Rodney King. And then the after show. What are your contributions to the Black Lives Matter movement? And also, viewers, I want you to check in. Tell me how you are doing. Join your host, Master Chef Warren L. Booker Jr. via Facebook Live and or YouTube. Bon appetit. Tune in this Thursday at 7:14 p.m. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much tuning in. This is a pre-recorded show because we had some technical difficulties with our regularly scheduled time. But guess what? The devil is not the truth and he will not win. Therefore, again, this show is pre-recorded, so I will go over the things that I meant to share and wanted to share, especially the media in which I intended to share during the regular show. So thank you for being patient with me, and thank you for the continuous support. And I'm sorry, I'm not a quitter, so therefore tonight's show will definitely go on. So as the topic stated, that I'm going to talk about tonight, a letter that I wrote to Rodney King. It began on Tuesday after dealing with all of the issues as it relates to George Floyd, and I just kind of felt obligated to say something, to do something. And as a kid, my first memory of such a thing as it relates to police brutality was Rodney King, the Rodney King beating in the 90s. And I just didn't understand then. I still don't understand now. However, it is pretty much upgraded from that point, even though we know lynchings and dragging of an individual behind a car with a horse buggy has been a part of our history. But I was not aware of that. So, I'm going to delve straight into it. As I stated, it began as supposed to be like maybe a sentence, and it turned out being several paragraphs. So I'm going to dissect that. I'm going to share some videos with you guys as we journey through this particular letter. And that is Rodney King over there, as you can see. And it states, Mr. Rodney King, we have tried to get along. Corrupt officers, and again, corrupt officers have gone from beating us to a pulp, like they did you, to killing us again. It continues to happen over and over again. Minimum to no sentences are rendered from our injustice system. And I repeat, our injustice system in this divided states of America. The system is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, oppress. And some people say our system is broken. But if you want to be truthful, it is not necessarily broken. It's doing, again, what it's designed to do. You know, back in the day, we would go from lynchings to things as such, as you see displayed here. That was the 1800s, and then now we're in 2020. There's not a big difference, because both of those result in death. The black male has been demeaned from the beginning of time. From the beginning of time, the black male has simply been demeaned, not honored, as if our life simply means nothing. And that's rather unfortunate. However, that's our truth. As sad as it is, that is our truth. We were once beat in front of our children to make the man seem as if he was less in front of his children, in front of his wife. So again, this is nothing new. Alrighty, lately, peace is met with violence, Mr. King. Peace is met with violence. And we've seen some of that taking place this week with a lot of the marches, etc. they have going on. And social media allows racist people that we thought were our friends show their true colors and hatred. Like oil and water, they just don't mix. You can't be my friend at work and not speak to me in public, or you do things to demean my culture, my family, or people that look like me. I'm reminded of, as a kindergarten through third grade, I had a lot of Caucasian friends. And I remember one day they all teamed up. And as I was coming down the slide, they all threw rocks. And I remember I was, and one actually went down my throat. And I won't call the person's name because I think we're Facebook friends now. And I don't even know if they remember this, but I was so angry and I felt attacked. And I actually responded with violence. I did. I'm not saying that it was right, but I actually did. I stumped a lunchbox or two really, really good. And from that day, from that point on, it's kind of like, I'm watching you. I'm watching you. And again, there are some other people who have issues that have occurred in their life as well. So let's get back to this letter that I wrote to Mr. Rodney King. It states here that lately peace is met with violence, and I've already read that. Just like it takes two to tango, it takes two to live in harmony. You can't meet me with violence. You can't treat me like a dog and expect me to do nothing. Those days are long gone. It doesn't work like that anymore. And going back to social media, allowing individuals to show their true colors. I have experienced that this week on KTV, Fox 16 News, where people have just displayed some mean things. I think I'm going to change this camera view so it can show it larger. And if you can't tell, my eyes are not necessarily the greatest. However, I don't have them on now, and this stuff is so small. I definitely can't read it or see it from the aspect. So I'm trying to change. I'll just bring it over. This is one message from someone. They were saying stuff like, lock these thugs up. There were some protesters that were actually laying in the street as a sign of their protest. And again, protests are designed to disrupt. If there's no disruption, what difference have you done? You're still being controlled. They sat in so they could be arrested and show you that you're not going to make me go anywhere just by telling me. If not, you're still in control. As I mentioned in the previous show, if the Little Rock Nine would have walked into the school and they said turn back around, then other students, probably African American students, probably would not be at their school right now. So it is designed to disrupt. People are willing to go to jail for the cause. And I will say this, if you're not cut out to do that, if that's not your thing, then don't do it. You support, however, it may be providing lunch for the protesters. It may be doing as if I'm doing, using your social media platform to share your message, to get the word across, to package it differently. It may be simply be praying. It may be simply just being a sounding board for those people that are participating. Whatever it may be, just do something, because your silence is saying that you're okay with it. That's why a lot of Caucasian people have asked, what can I do? How can I support? Stop being quiet. Stop acting like it's okay. We know that you go to some of your family members' homes, even though these may not be your views, and they're calling people the N-word, and they're talking about those people and calling people dogs. Correct that. Correct it, because that is wrong. That is wrong. So that's how you can help. They've said some mean things. Like today, there was a memorial service for Mr. Floyd. And again, there's someone that is there dead or deceased, murdered, and you have people making comments like the one that's about to come on the screen here shortly, as soon as I can get this correct. So again, there's a service that is going on, a memorial service for Mr. George Floyd that was murdered by the 4 cops. And she says something along with the tune as if all lives matter. What makes them think they're so special? And again, I'm paraphrasing because I cannot see that small lettering, and I don't have a switchboard because I have adjusted and had to pack up and move to another location to film this. So with that being said, we have to just be conscious of that. True enough, and I'm going to post this little girl. True enough, all lives matter. All lives do matter. But guess what? We're not talking about that today because all lives cannot matter until Black Lives Matter. I use the example of like a birthday. You know, birthdays in America are very special to people. But if today is my birthday, you are not about to come here and be talking about your birthday. You're not, because today is my birthday. So today we're focusing on Black Lives Matter because a picture is being painted to us here that our lives do not matter, and it's been shown over and over again that a lot of people feel that it does not. So let's just take a look at this young lady and the sign that she has. It says, "We said Black Lives Matter. Never said only Black Lives Matter. We know all lives matter. We just need your help with hashtag Black Lives Matter, for Black lives are in danger." We walk around in fear, fearing for our life, not knowing if we just simply get pulled over, if will we return home? Will we be able to return back to work? Will we be the next hashtag? Will they be marching for us next? And some people probably say, well, why with this particular death, there's just so much fanfare and there's so much publicity? Because people are tired. He's not the only one. We're not only standing for George Floyd. We're standing for all of the lives. And the list is too long to mention. But let's get back to the letter. So I've already told you it takes two to tango. You have to stop meeting us with violence and expect there to be a response of peace. Training seems to assume the worst, like automatically. Everybody's not trying to kill you, and respond with excessive force. Less or non-lethal force seems to be forgotten or omitted by the corrupt officers, just like with Oscar Grant. You got your taser and your gun mixed up. Yeah. The only requirement is to say you feared or thought the person had a weapon, and the center mass training, where all of our vital organs are here, it kicks in and it results in the death or murder from hateful racist encounters. Why are they so scared? You know, I'll never know. But I feel as if I'm the one that should be scared after reviewing the violence that has been inflicted on my ancestors in race of people for over 400 years. Mr. King, we are not living past contact with corrupt officers or privileged individuals. And then they'll call 911 and take matters into their own hands. They feel as if they will be supported, and they have been supported by taking matters into your own hand. We call 911 for emergency. Why call 911 and then take matters into your own hand? That's like getting rid of your headache, we'll just say through prayer, and then you take an ibuprofen. What sense does that make? That is backwards. But when you know, and we have a system, regardless of the wrong that you have done, supports it, then that's when you take the privilege and you do those type of things. We talked about white privilege last week, and some people have white privilege. They don't know. They think that's just the way it is, or it works like that for everybody, but it doesn't. Just the mere presence of your skin, not your character, just your skin, gets you certain things. But yet and still people pay a lot of money to be this color. But you hate it. It's not hate, it's envy, and it's corruption. Mr. King, we are marching, fighting, and protesting peacefully with some violence and some looting. People are mad. There is some destruction of businesses in our neighborhoods that we are consumers. A lot of us do not own them. We are consumers, and we support them financially. I'm learning that they don't like us. They are just in our neighborhoods to take our money and provide a false sense of community. They are not a part of our community. They are apart from our community. They drive to neighboring suburbs or cities. They just take our money and give us a few comments like Miss Millie did on The Color Purple. Oh, they're so clean and they're so beautiful. You want to be my maid? And we feel as if they care and their businesses are ours. And they're not. There are a lot of people saying, you're burning up down your community. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying I'm promoting violence, but How many of those corporations or corporations do you own? How many Targets do you own? How many Family Dollars do you own? How many banks do you own? They're in our community, and we fund them and we make them rich. But are they really ours? And I'm not saying that you should go tearing up things, but just think about it. It's not, a lot of that is not ours. And there are some situations I know where black businesses have been vandalized. And I'm not saying it's okay for either. But what I am saying is that don't be brainwashed and bash your people, because everybody have a role. The looters, the protesters, everybody has a role. And again, our stuff has been looted. It's been burned down. We've been oppressed for over 400 years. And every time that we tried to come up, Black Wall Street, 9th Street in Little Rock was a booming business. Tamarind Hall, Dreamland Ballroom, all of that. And what happened? You lied to us with the urban development. You burned it down. You killed people publicly. But it's okay then. We didn't call you animals. We just said we're going to pray for you. And you need help, or you just mean. But as soon as we do it, and then it's a problem. And again, that's all that a lot of the media outlets are talking about. We've stopped talking about coronavirus, COVID-19. We're talking about looting. We've stopped talking about the fact that the officers that killed, that murdered Mr. Floyd, was all of them, but the other 3 were just convicted today. It wasn't until today or yesterday that they were convicted. And again, remember, a conviction or charges is not a conviction. Remember that. Just because a person has charges, that is not a conviction. Do not be fooled by that. They have to be convicted. They have to be found guilty. And then that's when I would say, I may have some trust in our unjust system. Again, they have only been charged. And then, as it relates to Mr. Floyd, and I'll get back to the remainder of this letter, Mr. King. As it relates to him, you have medical examiners. Now, they're all supposed to be professional. You have one that's saying one thing, that they're blaming on COVID-19 and high blood pressure, hypertension, pulmonary problems. You have one saying that this man may have even had all of that. However, he died of asphyxiation. Reverend Al Sharpton today did a wonderful job of making the audience wait 8 minutes and 46 seconds to see how traumatizing that can be, to be suffocated, to be murdered in the street. But yet and still, you have the good old boy system, and you have your buddies that are willing to stand up for you as if it is right. And that's not okay. That is not okay. So let me go back over here to my boy, Mr. King. Mr. King. Mr. King, Mr. King, Mr. King. I'm sorry, look at your face. Look what they did to you. And now they are killing us. Mr. King, we are experiencing a pandemic. Education is monetized more than ever. I've even been out there not rioting. I've been out there marching and protesting for education, picketing. Constant murders of unarmed black people transpire frequently. Black people are being killed while running, jogging, sitting, breathing, standing, buying, in church, praising, or just simply existing. And what does the media decide to focus on? They focus on the fact that there's looting and there's rioting from the Gucci store. Nothing about that person's life. And that's sad. That's rather unfortunate. So, Mr. King, Mr. Rodney King, I hate that you were used to ask that question and change the narrative of the wrong that was done to you, how they beat you to a pulp. They use you to change the narrative and ask, can we all get along? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Not until they realize that my life matters, your life mattered, and it still matters to me. We can't rest or breathe until this stops. Okay, so with that being said, that was my letter written to Mr. Rodney King, the late Mr. Rodney King. So I have a few videos that I'm going to share with you. And one is, you know, I always tell people, and I have some Caucasian friends, I say, no, call me or say what you would say when you were at home, when you're not around me. And here in our city, we've had a situation where there were some racist pictures that surfaced where one girl just painted her face black and said, I'm a nigger. That's what she said. And another child has this, what appears to me to be brown face, or black face as we call it. And they're saying, oh, that's not what it was. Old. It wasn't meant that way. They put some makeup on them and it was just dark. Yeah, right. You could say that for someone else. And some children, they do see people. They want to see people as just people, not as a color. And they have to deal with this type of stuff with their parents. So I'm going to let you listen to this video.
No, shut up.
No.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
No.
Because I actually work in the ghetto. I see the people.
Do you know why they're in that
I
position?
see these people.
Do you understand the systematic and historical reason for why they're in that position?
They don't care. All they want to do is be ghetto.
No.
Yes, there's some that don't, and there's good people.
No.
Most of them just want to suck off the system or do something bad like drugs or gangs. And that's all they
have been oppressed. They have not been given the same opportunities you have had.
Yes, they do, and there's plenty of black people.
No, they don't, Dad.
There's plenty of
And you not recognizing that as an issue is the reason why it's still continuing today.
I see them all over. There's all kinds of successful people that are of color. It doesn't matter what color, brown, white.
But it's
orange,
a lot harder
yellow.
for them to get to that position.
It doesn't matter. When they do, they're fine. But there's always filthy animals. And that
You're calling people of color black animals. You're calling them animals. Are you kidding me?
You didn't let me finish.
That's not okay. No matter what,
too.
that's not okay. No matter what, it's not okay. Racism is not okay. Why do you think that racism is okay?
Oh, that's mine.
Billy, I'm gonna look at. No, I'm looking at statistics right now.
Your statistics they can be warped. Statistics can be warped. You want me to show you videos?
So why are
Do you want me to show you videos of cops? I will do it.
Statistics wrong?
Because they can be warped. I'm not giving statistics right now. They can be warped. Personal experiences can't.
No, because this is actually putting it into play. When you
Do I need to show you a bunch of videos of cops attacking protesters? Peaceful protesters.
listen to this. This is the number.
You mean I'm informed and educated?
You're not though.
Yes, I
You're
am.
one-sided informed.
Mom, I was watching political stuff and you said to turn that off because you don't want to hear about it. That means that I am educated on it and you are not.
I'm sick of hearing it.
The fact that you can have that ignorance for the majority is bliss.
Okay, so-
Ignorance for the minority
So I'm
is
looking at statistics
destruction.
that are wrong. This is just pure wrong information out there.
Just give me the statistic.
In 2017, 457 white people were shot to death by the police in the United States.
Okay.
223 were black.
76% of the population is white. 13% is black.
I get that.
If they were being killed at the exact same rate by police officers, the rate of black people being killed would be 8.9. But it's not. It's 24%. The rate of white people being killed should be about where it is. So they're being killed at a higher rate. There's more white people, meaning that the amount of people killed by cops who are white would be higher.
The reaction of the person. I'm not saying
Because
it's,
they're
I'm
tired.
not saying it's
They're tired
right.
of being treated
I'm
that
not
way.
saying it's right.
Good.
But if they started teaching them that this is the world that we live in, you don't want to be killed. Why do you think your friend's father taught him that?
Because his black son doesn't end up dead like Tamir Rice.
Because he doesn't want him to grow up with a chip on his shoulder that
He doesn't
no
want his
police
black son to end up dead.
Exactly.
That's not okay. Why do you think that's okay?
Because
Why is it something that you're okay with? Why is that a reality that you're okay with?
I'm okay with it.
But you are.
No, I'm not. I'm
So
saying,
stand against it. So stand against it. If you're not okay with it, so stand against
when I'll
it.
stand against it? When the black people in the ghetto stop carrying an illegal weapon. When the black people in the ghetto stop murdering each other.
I'll start caring about cops when they stop killing black people.
I'll start caring about black people when they stop killing cops. You can go back and forth forever, Haley.
So when you ask, what can you do about it? Are you going to be bold like this young girl and stand up against your parents as it relates to an issue as such? That was bold. She's going against her mom and her dad, who's calling African Americans animals and them and the ghetto. And yet it's still, I hear some people in some of the comments that have been made talking about people at ghetto, but you're living in a dirty, broke down trailer park. You can't say that. But you have the nerve, the unmitigated gall to look down on someone, the testicular fortitude to look down on someone that looks like me, all because of the color of my skin. And I will say this, you like certain parts of a black man, but then you put limitations on other things. So just be mindful of that. So Mr. King, no. Mr. King, why they're so scared, I'll never know. So to answer your question, can we get along? You know what? I'll call on Miss Sophia to give you your answer.
I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
So there you have it, your answer. Hell no. Until you act like all lives matter, or until you act like, Black lives matter, my life matter, then it's not okay. No, we can't get along because you're not seeing me as a human. There's an issue with that. So the last video that I will share it was sent to me today by one of my friends, Dr. Walker, and it actually, she sums it up so, I hate to say beautifully, but it's just so truthful. Now I will warn you, there is some strong language, there is some cursing in it, but come on people, I mean, look at the message. You curse when you're at home too. When you slam your hand on the door, you're not saying thank you Jesus, praise the Lord. So just listen to that, and I will discuss what she has said, or discuss it with you after this is shown.
So I've been seeing a lot of things talking of the people making commentary. Interestingly enough, the ones I've noticed that have been making the commentary are wealthy black people making the commentary about we should not be rioting, we should not be looting, we should not be tearing up our own communities. And then there's been an argument of the other side of we should be hitting them in the pocket. We should be focusing on the blackout days where we don't spend money. But, you know, I feel like we should do both. And I feel like I support both. And I'll tell you why I support both. I support both because when you have a civil unrest like this, there are three types of people in the streets. There are the protesters, there are the rioters, and there are the looters. The protesters are there because they actually care about what is happening in the community. They want to raise their voices, and they are there strictly to protest. You have the rioters who are angry, who are anarchists, who really just want to fuck shit up, and that's what they're going to do regardless. And then you have the looters. And the looters almost exclusively are just there to do that, to loot. Now, people are like, well, what did you gain? Well, what did you get from looting? I think that as long as we're focusing on the what, we're not focusing on the why, and that's my issue with that. As long as we're focusing on what they're doing, we're not focusing on why they're doing. And some people are like, well, those aren't people who are legitimately angry about what's happening. Those are people who just want to get stuff. Okay, well then Let's go with that. Let's say that's what it is. Let's ask ourselves why in this country in 2020, the financial gap between poor blacks and the rest of the world is at such a distance that people feel like their only hope and only opportunity to get some of the things that we flaunt and flash in front of them all the time is to walk through a broken glass window and get it. That they are so hopeless that getting that necklace, getting that TV, getting that change, getting that bed, getting that phone, whatever it is that they're going to get, is that in that moment when the riots happen and if they present an opportunity of looting, that's their only opportunity to get it. We need to be questioning that. Why are people that poor? Why are people that broke? Why are people that food insecure, that clothing insecure, that they feel like their only shot, that they are shooting their shot by walking through a broken glass window to get what they need? And then people want to talk about, well, there's plenty of people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and got it on their own. Why can't they do that? Let me explain to you something about economics in America. And I'm so glad that as a child I got an opportunity to spend time at Push where they taught me this, is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything, and then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have. That if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give a fuck. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own by our bootstraps in Tulsa and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Wow. She said, you ought to be glad that we are looking for equality and not revenge. And everyone in America has gotten reparations except us. And you call us lazy. We built this country. If another black person never had to work a day in their life, the action would be fair, because look at all the work that our ancestors put in with making you rich. But you have the nerves to call us lazy. She said it. There's not a lot that I have to say about it. But I really like that monopoly analogy, because it's hard to play catch up when you are 400 years advanced. And ironic enough, we're able to even get close, and every time you think we're getting close, you push us back because you control the finances. Not fair, but that's just how America is fixed. So again, Mr. King, ask your question and you're gonna get your answer.
I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
And that's not until they stop killing us. All lives can't matter until Black lives matter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. See you again next week at 7:14 p.m.
This week on the